Hello and welcome to our Saturdays with Tara Hangout on Air. You're at the Law of Attraction Club. I'm Mary Beth. And you're on the web at the loaclub.com. On these Hangouts, we collaborate with our friends Tara. This Hangout is the summary of our theme for the week and continues with our member conference line with Q&A. Today's topic is a short history of you and other fictions. You can get invites to our open calls, which we offer now and then, and our powerful free letting go process by going to the loaclub.com. So now we're going to welcome Robin, who will be bringing through Tara. So welcome, Robin and Tara. Over to you.
Welcome to you all. And as we gather here in this clearing in the forest, we say, as always, this is your show. And we're not kidding you. You might think that this is arranged by us and this one, and you're just showing up. If you think that, if you think you had no hand in the design of this discussion, think again. There's nothing in your world, and there's nobody you intersect with in your world that isn't a match to your chosen tapestry of expectations. Today, we're going to be talking a lot about those choices you make. And today, you're going to be making a lot of choices. You'll be making choices like, that sounds interesting. Or, I can see how that works because, or, I can't see how that works because there's too much noise around me here, or I'm not smart enough to be able to understand that, or I'll think about this later, or maybe the ultimate. If I get my head around this and I try it and fail, then it will prove I can't get this to work for me, and then all is lost, etc., etc. So whatever your train of thought is today, here and now, notice those choices, because then you will be catching yourself in the very act of creating you and the world around you. You will be watching your own timeless creation story. Last week we invited you to come sit on the crescent moon with us, to see things from a new perspective. This week we're going to challenge you to step even beyond that, as we describe for you an alternative version of your history, a hugely expanded version that starts from the truth of who you are and proceeds down some of the infinite paths you've taken to arrive at this point in a physical space-time world, to be on what you call planet Earth in what you know as the year 2017. Have you made any choices yet? And the reason we're doing this is not to trivialize the story you've made up or the stage you're playing on. This story of yours is magnificent. It's a feature-rich and extraordinarily complex game. You have focused down into this realm in a way that puts you on the leading edge of creation, and we are in awe of the experiences you are having. Your experiences are as real as you are, because at your essence you are a consciousness. Consciousnesses have awareness. Consciousnesses think. Your thoughts are real. Your stage may be a virtual reality, but your experiences are anything but virtual. They're the breeding ground for new desires, and new ideas about what to create. The reason we do set about to challenge the solidarity of any of your stories is to do some damage to the idea that you're in any way locked into one particular version. Let's begin by talking a little about this one story, his virtual reality. It's one version of a story based in time. So there's one version of history to it. Because you're intersecting with us here today, by definition, everything about this version of this conference call is a match to you. And by extension of that, there's going to be a lot about your world in general that matches this one's world. So there will likely be a lot of commonality between the popular versions of the history of his world and the history of your world, which goes something like this. Neil deGrasse Tyson, director of the Hayden Planetarium, when he was on the Charlie Rose show last year, was talking about Earth. The timeline of the Earth, 4.5 billion years. We spent 3.5 billion years as single-cell life on Earth. And then there's the Cambrian explosion of life. Life now has the carte blanche to become complex because the system can support it. And then intelligent life, he said as he held up his hand with his thumb and forefinger pinched really close together, arose in just this last little bit of time. So here we have a well-known scientist on mainstream TV espousing what are probably to you mainstream facts about life on Earth. It's all very plausible, and it all reinforces the idea of a world that's out there. Well, of course, we would say that this is just one version of the story of how you got here. Within that particular story, as you listen to those words about that vast expanse of time, perhaps you get the feeling of the enormity of things. In Neil deGrasse Tyson's terms, the beginning of everything was a big bang, before which no space and time existed, and about which today's science has no practical explanations. So we're going to move away from that nice story with no real answers to the truth about you and the answers to every question you might have. We're going to move away from a big bang beginning to a new story of the beginning of the world. We know this is a big leap. We encourage you to stay with us. We know it's not easy to imagine no time and no space. But if you will allow it to, your thinking mind will get the concept. We encourage you into the idea that you're an intelligent consciousness creating all of this, and that once you make the decision to break away from any one particular story, you're eminently capable of understanding who you are and how it is that you and you alone are writing your screenplay. Here we go. The true story about the beginning of the world is that it's literally the beginning of your world. When you stepped into time and space, you created that time and space. Time began with you, and it will end with you. The world began with you, and it will end with you. Let's say you decide to play some portion of a multi-season TV series you have recorded on your DVR. You start from the main menu and you pick a season, then an episode. And then you can dive into that episode at the beginning or the end or the middle. And as you do that, you play God. You are causing the conversion of a series of electronic ones and zeros into a magical semblance of reality. And then you engage with the story. It's an adventure. It's exciting. It's fun. Your heroes may have been alive and grown up when the series began, and will probably be alive at the end and destined to live happily ever after. But you choose what chapter to play and when. You are literally in control of time in this story. And so it is with so-called reality. Here are two different but equally valid ways of thinking about your life. You could say season 1 begins when you are born. And then each year is a new season with new episodes until you reach the end. Equally, you could say, this day today is the whole story. It starts with a backstory, a synopsis with all that other stuff, and it ends when you go to sleep tonight. And that's it. Are you beginning to see that time is what you create it to be? You are God with your hand on the remote control, and at any point you can select main menu. All potential versions of the story of your life, be it years or be it one day, are all equally valid. Or perhaps valid is not a good word. Let's say all are equally plausible as your story, the one you think you're living. Before space and time, and eternally beyond space and time, beyond you and us as individuated consciousnesses, we just are. We are the collective consciousness of all that is. We're going to have to use some admittedly approximate and time-based words here, but you'll get the essence of it. In this realm, you and us and all that is are pure energy, pure love with infinite potential. And then an intention is born, an intention to experience something new. Your intention began to define you. Our intention began to define us. An infinity of intentions began to define an infinity of extensions to that collective consciousness. You choose it all. When you ask us how this works or that works, because we do our best to meet you where you are and not always go infinite on you, we often tell you what we see in your story and some of the new choices you could make. But really beneath it all, the answer is you tell us, because you are the author of your screenplay and you can and do rewrite any part of it at any time. Are you beginning to see the power that is yours? Time and space and God the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, and angels and archangels and guardian angels, and ascended masters and inner beings and egos and higher self and heaven and hell and old souls and young souls and life and death and past lives and future lives, these are all parts of stories. They may be a part of your story, and if so, they are as real as you are. You are, after all, a part of your story. But all of it is a choice. Your choice. The universe and galaxies and suns and planets and 4.5 billion years of single-cell life on Earth and dinosaurs and dodos and day and night and waking and sleeping and dreaming and land and sea and continents and trees and animals and good people and bad people and rivers and seas and lakes and beaches and fields of flowers and apple pie and ice cream. These are all parts of a story. It may be your story, but all of it is a choice, your choice. And no choice is good or bad. It's just that some choices are more fun than others. Of course, we always say, choose the fun ones. But our essential message here is, it's yours to choose. How you regard the past is not important. But if you are seeking to create more of what you want, then seeing the past for what it is, a work of fiction, can help a lot in freeing you from the seeming inevitability of a present you want to change. From our friends Abraham, some practical advice. There is no right or wrong way to tell your improved story. It can be about your past, present, or future experiences. The only criterion that is important is that you be conscious of your intent to tell a better feeling, improved version of your story. Telling many good feeling, short stories throughout your day will change your point of attraction. Just remember that the story you tell is the basis of your life. So tell it the way you want it to be. From Bashar. You create the past and the future from the here and now. In other words, everything is a choice, and every choice is a now choice. From Bentinho Massaro. You can actually change your past, and through it heal your present and improve your future effortlessly. In other words, you can imagine where you want to be, and you can make up a past that matches it, because the absolute truth of it is that this new made-up past of yours is every bit as real as that other old made-up version you've been practicing. Then start practicing the new one. Make up a new and improved story and live within that story. Can you see yourself now and now and now from this new vantage point? Before you descend completely back into this highly mesmerizing game of yours, make a little promise to yourself that you're going to keep some of this perspective in your heart and in your ongoing awareness. Begin to know in a deep place of knowing that it's just a story. It's your story, and it's a magnificent one at that. But you are not trapped within it. You are not confined by anything here but your thoughts. You can pick up your remote control and choose a different version. And now we move to our longer discussion and your questions.
This Hangout on Air was the summary of our theme for the week. We do 3 live calls a week with Q&A for our members on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. You can become a member by going to the loaclub.com/join. Our longer discussion with Q&A continues now on our member conference line. So back over to